Hey everyone, how we doing today? May 15th. Man, Friday, May 15th. Um, just trying to have some fun here. My little puppy doesn't feel good today, so I'm gonna hold him in my lap. Hopefully that's okay. Doesn't knock out my earplugs or anything. So again, we got the big number of the day was retail sales. Just in case, let's put the retail sales, retail consumption in context. Numbers I've seen is U.S. economy is roughly $21.5 trillion, biggest economy in the world. 68% of that is personal consumption. So when you hear people talk about we're a consumer-based economy and all of that, that's what it means. So that's why I've been looking at the consumer for 20 years, is to try to understand where they are in the greed versus fear metrics. And what we have for April are horrible retail sales numbers. I kind of look at it as glass half full. I think April will be the low. So we put in the low. I think it gets better from here. And instead of reporting the worst on record and all of that stuff that we're going to see today, May will be better than April. June will be better than May. July will be better than June. And it is that positive force that I'm so looking forward to, right? April data is going to be, for most metrics, the worst on record. I do think unemployment is going to have a couple more bad weeks, and I think May will be getting worse, but that's kind of where we are. So again, retail sales down, worst on record, like I just said, 16.4%. And that handily beat what was expected. The expected number was down 12.3. Yes, got to get ugly before it gets better. You're so right. So we're in the thick of ugly, Josh. That's where we are. So again, some horrible numbers. I mean, I could have written them all down, but I just wrote down two. Clothing down nearly 80%, 78.8. Electronics and appliances down 60.6. This is, again, could be seen as good news, right? Because again, there is a lot of pent up demand coming. And this could be the wind at our back, right? This will be, for many states, already opening up. For others, it'll be in June. But we are going to have better numbers from here, which I'm so encouraged by and thankful for. But again, there's some demand that just won't come back, right? There were some decisions that were made that people have, being more conservative and saving. People are estimating about 10% of what would have been past purchases won't come back. Uh, it is what it is. I think, frankly, saving more and having an emergency fund is not a bad idea, folks. So that is okay. I did see an article about China talking about revenge buying. I don't know if you heard about this. But apparently, the rich in China, and I'm not sure what rich means, but they are attending the high end stores. There was an article about Hermes having their best day ever, something like $3 million dollars in sales out the door that first day. So it is interesting to see. And, I don't know if the US does that. I don't know if we revenge buy per se, but we will certainly have pent up demand, and that there is no question. Whether that be going to restaurants or your coffee shop or the gas station, heaven's sake, we're consuming more as we drive more. So I think again, things get better from here. A little bit of wishful thinking. I'm not going to lie, but I think it's a trend that we can all count on. So that's good. Uh, Lots of people going. Can you post a link to John Doe? I don't know what that means. I don't know what that is. Uh, Pent up demand. Oh no, bankruptcies again. Lots and lots of bankruptcies. J.C. Penney's is expected to file today. Kind of saw that coming once they give out those executive bonuses. But again, bankruptcies don't mean gone forever, right? There are different types. Chapter 7, Chapter 11, Chapter 13. So we will see. The bond market is clearly pricing J.C. Penney's is going out. Um, oh, okay. I will look at that. I will go look at that. Okay. Um, China tensions ratcheting up. It's is kind of the wrong time, but you got to when it's out there, you got to protect yourself. Huawei, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly, is now designated as kind of a non-actor. We're cutting off chips. They obviously do a lot of handsets, but what we are worried about is that a front for military operations over in China. China, of course, is swinging back like they always do. They're threatening Qualcomm, Cisco, Boeing, Apple. The list goes on and on. Taiwan Semi. I don't know if you guys heard this, but it looks like they're going to build a $12 billion plant in Arizona. Again, nice to see us making stuff here. It's supposed to be around 2024 when it's complete. It's going to only employ about 1,600 folks once done, but those will be for the most part very high-paying jobs. And it wouldn't hurt to build more stuff here, even if it's chips. Another thing I saw from Europe, we have Slovenia. I think Slovenia, first European country to declare the emergency of this health scare over. I thought that was encouraging. I didn't think anybody would be gutsy enough to call it over, given all this press we see in the news these days. So, I hope they're right. This would be great to have this behind us. As far as Clint, your question on single-family homes, I believe single-family homes for most of the U.S. are going to be fine, and it's actually this next topic for you why I say that. So if you've been following this channel for any length of time, you know that I've been nervous about the forbearance, right? I lived through the '08 crash, saw people hurt, right, when the short sales and foreclosures, it was really the supply of distressed sellers hit the market. And when the forbearance program was originally rolled out, it was set up to cause the same thing, but in a delayed reaction. Basically, people would get behind, they couldn't catch up, and this month, next month, whatever, it would eventually catch up to them and they would be out. So I saw a wave, kind of a series of small waves impacting the housing market and hurting values, right? The whole trick to real estate is supply and demand. And if demand exceeds supply, it's hard to have price drops. So I was nervous, right? Because I could see supply exceeding demand because of the forbearance thing and all the falling of not being able to make up on payments. This forbearance thing that I read about yesterday changes that equation 180 degrees. If you haven't read about it, it is pretty amazing. So what they're saying now is, let's say you had 6 months and your payment's 1,000. Historically, what they would say is, okay, you owe us $7,000 on month 7. And most people in my fear wouldn't catch up. Then they'd go on a payment plan, they'd miss a payment, and boom, they're in foreclosure. Now what they're saying is, you know what? We are going to take that $6,000 that you were behind. We are going to create a second mortgage at 0% interest that is not payable until the first is paid off. Suddenly, forbearance isn't an issue, because what will happen at month 7 is you just owe your original payment. What they're basically doing is they're really basically calling a timeout. And they will get that 6 months payment back when you sell your house, because it is a mortgage and it must be paid. When you refi, again, the same reason, it's a second and recorded. Or if you're one of the few people that stay in your house forever, when you finally pay off your first, the second will become due. But it's at 0%. So I think that tweak to the forbearance program removes most problems, because I believe unemployment will come back in the next year, at least at some level. And the forbearance program, if adopted, is going to prevent a lot of REOs and short sales. So I bring that up because, to the question, I think it was from Clint, I don't see most housing markets being in any kind of trouble. If this forbearance tweak becomes standard, single family homes in 90% of the country, 95% of the country are going up. Housing prices will go up. There will be exceptions. New York, San Francisco, you're going down. This work from home thing, this unaffordable, this vertical living, this, people living on the streets, high taxes, more taxes because, New York and California are behind. There's $50 billion in the red. people are going to leave California. They're going to leave New York. So their housing markets, I should say mine, because I live in San Francisco and I have a house in New York actually, or a condo in New York. Their values are going down, but most of the country will go up. I think the high end is in trouble. Um, yeah, let's see. Yeah, banks don't want to deal with foreclosures. Exactly. Yeah, forbearance proposal is a game changer. Absolutely. You are so right. That is exactly what it was. It took my forbearance is a dark side video and made it almost irrelevant. But here's the dark side of this new twist. You want to see how this will roll out? As of right now, we have 4.7 million people in forbearance today, up from 4.5 last week. So good news is the trend is slowing, even though unemployment is 36 million or whatever it is today. If this forbearance option becomes standard, a lot more people are going to ask for it. Why wouldn't you? Right? Hey, I get a year free and you stick it on as a second. There's no downside. First off, there is a downside. They're going to hit your credit. I know they can't hit the delayed payment, but they're going to make notes of it. There's also rules in FHA and all of this that if you ask for forbearance, you can't get a loan. They won't buy your loan in the next 12 months. I don't trust banks, as I've said many times. But what I think will happen is if this forbearance program takes hold, more people are going to ask for it. Why wouldn't you? If you're even in any kind of pain, why wouldn't you ask for a free year or a free 6 months? That's basically what they're giving you. So it'll be interesting. Next up, couple things. Executive order on drugs. About time. This is going to be interesting. Oh yeah, it's going to hit credit, no question. But if you need it, take it, right? Executive order to make key drugs at home. I'm very glad to hear that's been done. I've been asking for that for a while. The fact, and hopefully this extends to more than drugs. I'm hoping it's masks and gloves and just the stuff that we need in an emergency. I mean, just think hurricanes and tornadoes and stuff. I mean, we should make some key things here. And so I hope that executive order either gets extended or a second one gets created. And then consumer sentiment just came out. Yep. Consumer sentiment was up. The estimate was 65. It was at 73.7. So what I take from this is the consumers are already looking ahead. Most states and cities are at least talking about opening up in the next couple of weeks. There are obviously hot spots in New York and the like that rightly so should go longer. But again, we are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel and it's feeling good, which is interesting. So that's good. What else? Oh, the New York Stock Exchange, at least, as a geek who's been watching the market for a long time, looks like they're going to open the floor. It is interesting to see how they're going to do it and what restrictions, because these are the restrictions I think all of us can count on in other offices in businesses. So they are going to limit the number of people on the floor. Right now, the estimate is 15% of what was there originally. So what is that, like 1 in 7? No, if you come to the floor, you cannot take public transportation, so no subway. They are going to take temperature checks before you get in, and they're going to mandate masks. They will, of course, social distance. And they're supposed to open up, I guess, the Tuesday after Memorial Day. So again, I think that is good news. There's talk about another stimulus check coming. I've been on record as saying I don't like the idea of sending everybody checks. Most people are still working and being paid. Let's save that money. No subway to work at the New York Stock Exchange. Let's be clear. If I misspoke, that is correct. If you're on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange, no public transportation. And again, remember, they're only allowing 15% of the old traders on the floor. So, yes, but I think that's a good news. It's a moment in time. It was a moment in time when they shut it down, and it'll be a moment in time when they open it up. Again, back to the check. Looks like a check is coming out. It looks like it'll be approved. We'll see how much. I think that money could be spent elsewhere. Most of us are still working. And frankly, we're saving money because we're not shopping. It will be interesting to see because I think we could use that for either increased unemployment benefits or incentives to bring manufacturing home. There's just other ways we can use that. J.C. Penney's, if I didn't mention earlier, looks like they're going to finally file for bankruptcy. 95,000 employees. I had no idea J.C. Penney's was that big. On the positive side, IKEA. I don't know if you guys know IKEA. It looks like they are looking at adding more IKEAs in the U.S. and they're going to take over these big box retailers that are going out. There's an IKEA close to me in Palo Alto. It's massive, massive. So we'll see with that. And then the last thing is you really got to watch office and retail, right? Jonathan Twomley and I talked about this yesterday because again, there's a large mall operator that's seen less than 25% rent collection. And what's going to happen to them is they're going to have a lot of vacancies and non-payers. And then unfortunately, they're going to get hit again because a lot of their strong players like Chipotle, Starbucks, and the like are going to renegotiate and ask for lower rent. So, yeah. So again, so that's what I got for you. Again, these big REITs and retailers and all of that are interesting. So again, I think April is going to be a lot of horrible numbers when we report it. But again, we got to get through this to get out of it. I think there's generally more good news than bad news coming. Hopefully, we got a country in Europe, for heaven's sake, saying the emergency's over. Again, didn't see that coming. China tensions are ratcheting up. That's not good. Kind of the wrong time for that. And then it'll be about pent-up demand. I'm really going to be interested to see what kind of pent-up demand we have when May numbers come out, June numbers. And again, I'm fairly confident that April will be the worst of it. All right, everybody, got lots of interviews today. I got a hard money lender coming on at 8. Got another one at 9 o'clock. So lots of fun today. All right, guys, take care. Bye.